first Friday event of 2026. And it is also the beginning of our 60th anniversary year. So congratulations, MacRostie. Yeah. So we'll be doing lots of celebrating our official 60th anniversaries in November, so we've got a little time to work up to it. But we thought that this would be a fitting kickoff because it's an exhibit of artists who spend a lot of time here at the MAC. Every Tuesday we have an open studio for painters, drawers, anybody working in a 2D medium, and it's been happening for as long as I've been here and before. And right now we've got a great, really active group of artists, and I'm going to be excited to introduce them to you and let them speak a little bit about their work. But first, I want to say a few thank yous. First of all, big thanks to the Logie Dome for sponsoring the exhibit tonight, so a round of applause. And thanks to Cyrus White and Martha Grace Reese for sponsoring our First Friday reception this evening as well, so thanks to them. I feel like I should have something else to announce, but honestly, I'm still just coming off the holidays, so I think, without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Carol Morrill, who is perhaps the ringleader of the current group of painters, to speak a little bit more about the exhibit and the Tuesday Open Studio. So, here's Carol.
Hi, I want to express our appreciation for your support and for coming out on this very cold night. It could be worse, but you know, we're northern Minnesotans, so we do it just fine. You can tell from my work that I really like the snow. I like being out in it. I like painting it. I just really value the landscape around us because it's so incredibly beautiful, and it's always challenging to see where the water will lead us. I started painting, after retirement, thanks to Keith, because I wandered in here one night with those little tiny 3mm Grumbacher tubes and said, Keith, do you think I can do anything with this? And he said, well, come on in. And he cut them open with a razor blade and pressed them into a palette and said, let's paint. And that was the beginning of a journey. So thanks, Keith, thank you. And I'm going to just say, watercolor continues to fascinate me because it's like making stories as you follow the clouds as children. And when you're fully engrossed in the process, you never really quite know what's going to emerge until you see it happen. So Ken's going to talk to you. We are here tonight primarily due to Ken, because Ken called me up when I was going to hang it up. Nobody was showing up. And said, no, we can't let it die. And he's done a pretty good job of resurrecting the group.
Thanks, Carol. Well, I'm Ken Johnson. I'm a retired architect, and I have 3 pieces in the corner over there and 3 pieces on this wall here. And I think my architecture background has really influenced my painting. Coming from architecture, I'm keenly aware of proportion, shape, form, color, texture, so on. That's very important in architecture. And as I find out now, entering the painting world after retirement 4 years ago from architecture, that those same qualities are important in the painting. So I've been experimenting over the last 4 years with different media. I've done acrylics, that's where I started in originally. And I've gotten into pastels. I've tried oil painting this summer, and I brought in that cityscape back there, that big painting on the wall. There's a pencil that I did back in 1970 when I was just graduating from the School of Architecture at Minnesota. And it's, I was working for a firm in Minneapolis at the time, and they were doing a proposal for a convention center, which is that high-rise tower in the middle, for the city of Sacramento. And they needed a drawing that showed what it would look like physically in the city. So we chose the aerial photo, and then I superimposed the proposed design in there, and then rendered the rest of the city around it. So that was how we sold the projects back then. In 1970, we used T-squares and triangles. Now they use computers. Anyway, moving into the painting, the Macbeth painting on the left was when I was in Duluth. That's acrylic. And that was, I was with the Duluth Art Institute painting occasionally with them. And Shakespeare Festival, and they wanted artists to pick their favorite Shakespeare character and do a painting of it. So that's what that represents, that's Macbeth. And my other portrait there on the wall is the Mad Sad Mona Lisa. And that's a political statement. She's mad, she's sad, and she's angry. She has red eyes, she's crying, and she has a frown on her face. You gotta understand why. You know, the United States abandoned Europe politically here a couple months ago, or within the past year, and things have changed. She's a very sad lady today, so that's what I'm trying to convey with that painting. Then the three over here, this is a pastel. I'm working in pastel now, and these are, I really love landscape. I love the fall color, and I love the pastel because it really, on sanded paper, the pastel really pops, and you really get intense color. And I really liked working in the pastel on fall colors. Those three were meant to go together. So glad to be here, and thanks for showing up. And I guess we're going to turn it over to Keith.
Well, thank you.
Thanks.
I'm glad Ken mentioned the political thing. As a group, we talked a lot about politics when we were doing our artwork, and I didn't bring any of mine in. I figured I didn't want to get shot. So, anyway, but I had some that I like. These are mine. I originally was pretty much of a watercolor painter, and then I got into some colored pencil. My favorite one is from my sketchbook. It's my grandson. We were up at the Wolf Center in Ely, and he was howling with the wolves. He was crawling on the statues there. Mm-hmm. That's my favorite. And I made a copy for him, and he said he didn't want it. It kind of broke my heart. But anyway, then I've got another one of him. So anyway, I wanted to put this show a little bit different. I do a lot of animals, and people think I'm like a wildlife painter, but I'm really not. I put them in for the interest. Like my buffalo, this wouldn't be much of a picture without them. And polar bear too. That's why I do the animals. It's not that but I do love bears for some reason or other, and I enjoy doing the bears. But yeah, I've been branching out a little bit, but our group, it's been really nice because I hadn't been doing much painting. And so I got inspired. I made some really good friends, and I enjoy the time that I spend with them. So anyway, that's about it for me. Who's gonna be next? Mary? No, I don't.
I'm Mary Melton, and those are mine kind of back over there. Oh, okay. I started doing art about 2.5 or 3 years ago, when we retired and moved up here, and I was basically looking for friends, and someplace that we would sit and also chat and get to know some people, and that certainly happens in art. Some of us like to chat. But I've learned really a lot. Everybody's been kind of a mentor to me, and so if you like to get input on Tuesdays, that's a nice place to get input. You don't have to if you don't want to, but sometimes we show each other what we're doing and ask for ways to improve. So I have just kind of been experimenting with different media, not oils ever, but kind of started out drawing with graphite, and then was doing some colored pencils, and then people on Tuesdays kind of talked me into trying to paint, and so the watercolor really didn't click with me too well, but Amelia, who's across the street up in the attic, she suggested I might like gouache, and so most of my paintings are gouache, which is a watercolor medium. And then I think I took a class, a colored pencil class here, and the instructor in that said I might like to do colored pencil on Mylar. It's transparent plastic, kind of that's roughed up so to hold it, but you can erase colored pencil on it. I do love to erase and do things over and over and over. So the portrait on the end of it is my daughter when she was about 4. That's actually on the Mylar with the colored pencil. Otherwise, I don't know. I have one political one, I guess, the owl and the big tidal wave that I called oligarchy. In the fall, kind of when Bernie was going around there having their oligarchy tour, and I was impressed, and I wanted to do something that looks like the big guys are smashing everybody else. So that's kind of that one. So that's all I
Hi, I'm LeeAnn Ryan. I have 3 oil paintings over there. I just started with this group a couple months ago. Mary got me into it. Thank you, Mary. And I am now learning watercolor. I've done some things, but it's kind of an experiment for me to go from oil painting to watercolor. The transition, there are things that are the same, like blending colors. How you do it's different, but I do like landscapes, which is primarily what I've done with the oil. I started painting oil about, well, I guess now it's been about 20 years ago, but I painted for about 15 years and then COVID happened. And there were no classes, there were no groups. We were living down in Georgia at the time. And when we came back up here, I had the thought of getting back to oil painting and just, even though I have a place for a studio for the summer months at home, I just did not get back into it. And right now I feel more inspired to do some of that when the weather warms up and get back into the unheated cabin. And also to learn another medium with watercolor. I'm really enjoying it so far. It's a great group of people. And if you're interested at all, you can't do oils, but you can do really anything else you want. Bring your ink, pencils, whatever you're doing, and it's really a fun group. So, and I've really enjoyed learning from everybody, and it's a nice friendship group. So, but thank you guys for all coming tonight.
Thanks, everybody. Just give a quick shout out to Amanda Wilde and Leatha Lemen, who aren't here for the artist talk tonight, but both have work represented in the show. And I think with that, I will just release you all to talk amongst yourselves and enjoy the rest of the evening. So thanks again for coming out, and thanks again to our fabulous artists.
Thank you.